We are now on the record. This begins videotape number 1 in the deposition of Toni Lawrence and the matters of Sterling Green Community Improvement Association versus Thomas Olson. Today is Friday, January 8th, 2021, and the time is 10:15 a.m. Will counsel and all parties present please state their appearances and who they represent?
Bill Chesney, Chesney. I represent the plaintiff, Sterling Green Community Improvement Association.
Peter Zavodnik. I am the attorney for Thomas Olson, defendant. One of the attorneys.
Will our court reporter please swear in the witness?
Ms. Lawrence, this is Tammy. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to place you under oath before we start this morning. Can you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you will give here today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Go right ahead, Peter.
Will the witness state her name for the record, please?
Toni Lawrence.
Is that T-O-N-I?
Yes.
Ms. Lawrence, my name is Peter Zavodnik, and I'm one of the attorneys for defendant Thomas Olson in the matter of Sterling Green Community Improvement Association, Inc. versus Thomas Olson, cause number 2018-51603 in the 55th Judicial District, Harris County, Texas. Ms. Lawrence, I'm going to be asking you a series of questions about Sterling Green and its allegations targeting Mr. Olson and events involving Mr. Olson and Sterling Green. If I ask you a question and you answer it, I'll assume you understood the question. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
And if I ask you a question and you do not understand it, please let me know and I will be happy to rephrase it. Do you understand that?
Yes.
It's also important that you let me finish asking questions before you answer them, because it's hard for the court reporter to take down our statements if we're speaking at the same time. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And finally, if you need to take a break at any time, please let me know and we will be happy to accommodate you. But please do not request breaks while questions are pending. In other words, if I ask a question, please answer it and then request break.
Okay.
Do you live within the Sterling Green community?
Yes, I do.
And are you employed at present?
I'm retired.
And when did you retire?
2001.
And from what did you retire?
Southwestern Bell Telephone, which is now AT&T.
And what did you do for Southwestern Bell Telephone?
I was the manager in circuit provisioning.
What is your highest level of education?
Some college.
And did you review any documents in preparation for the deposition?
I did.
What documents did you review?
The ones I had notes on from meetings, my own personal notes.
Did you review any documents other than notes you created?
No, I did not.
Do you have any, is there anyone else in the room with you?
No, sir.
Do you have any training in finance or accounting?
No, I don't.
Have you ever been convicted of a felony or a crime involving moral turpitude?
Absolutely not.
Have you ever served in the military?
No, I have not.
Are you here today in response to a notice of deposition that was issued by Thomas Olson?
I didn't get a notice.
You understand today you are here, strike that. Are you a member of the board of directors of Sterling Green?
I am.
What is Sterling Green?
Homeowners Association.
So Sterling Green Community Improvement Association is a homeowners association.
Yeah, that's what I say it is.
How long have you been a member of Sterling Green?
I've lived here on almost 43 years. Second house built in the neighborhood.
How many members does Sterling Green have roughly?
Houses or members of the,
Members.
well, we have 2,200 homes, so I'm assuming they're all members.
And you are currently a member of the Sterling Green Board of Directors?
Yes.
When were you first elected to the Sterling Green Board of Directors?
August of 2018.
Are you currently an officer of Sterling Green?
I am
What position do you hold?
vice president.
And how long have you been vice president?
Probably about 7 months.
Since the summer of 2020?
Yes, sir.
Did you have any role with regard to the Sterling Green Board of Directors during the period between March 1, 2018 and July 31, 2018?
Did I have it? I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question.
Did you have any role with regard to the Sterling Green Board of Directors during the period of March 1, 2018 through July 31, 2018?
I did not.
Do you know Thomas Olson, the defendant in this matter?
I do.
How do you know Mr. Olson?
How do I know? He did the HOA. He came to a meeting.
Was Mr. Olson on the Sterling Green Board of Directors at any point?
Not in 2018. He wasn't.
At any point?
Yes.
Did you ever serve on the Board of Directors of Sterling Green with Mr. Olson?
No.
And he is no longer a member of
Can
the-
I rephrase that? Yes, I did for just about a few days.
In what year?
2018, August.
Mr. Olson is no longer a member of the Board of Directors, correct?
No, he is not.
And his membership on the Board of Directors ended in August 2018?
No, it didn't. He was just voted down to a member at large in 2018, and then he was voted off the board at another time.
You testified earlier that you and Mr. Olson both served on the Board of Directors for a few days in August 2018, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
And after that, at the conclusion of that few days, did his period of service on the Board of Directors come to an end in August 2018?
I believe it did,
And how did it come to an end?
by the board of directors.
Are you saying the Board of Directors removed him from the board?
Yes,
And did the board vote to remove him from the board in August 2018?
I believe so.
Who is Sharon Provost
She's the office manager.
of Sterling Green?
Yes, sir.
What are her job duties?
I don't know all her job duties. I don't come up to this office unless I absolutely have to or come to a meeting.
Do you know any of her job duties?
Yeah, she takes care of the HOA. She manages the people that work for us. She does a lot. She does a payroll. I couldn't name all the duties that she does.
Have you asked her for information or documents while you've served on the board?
I have.
Has she provided them?
She sure has.
And you're aware that Sterling Green has filed a lawsuit against Thomas Olson that's pending in Harris County, Texas?
Yes, sir.
In the lawsuit, Sterling Green has served a document in which it alleges that each member of its board of directors has knowledge of Olson's misconduct, wrongful taking of association monies, and plaintiff's claims against Olson for damages caused by Olson's misconduct. Are you aware of misconduct on the part of Olson for which Sterling Green is trying to recover in this lawsuit?
I am.
And what is that misconduct?
Objection form, but you can answer it to your extent. You can answer, Ms. Lawrence. I have to make objections for the record, and let me do it again.
Misappropriation of funds.
Anything else?
Objection form. You can answer when I do that, Ms. Unless I instruct you not to answer, I have to do those objections for the record. So
Yes, sir.
I know it's annoying, but I have to do it. You can still answer the question.
Just a misappropriation of money.
And how much money did Mr. Olson misappropriate?
Well, at one time we had almost $1 million, and the next time when we went to the bank, we had a little over 500,000. So I would say somewhere around 300,000.
And this is money that was spent between March and July of 18. Is that correct?
I believe so.
And do you know the subjects on which the subjects or persons or services or products on which that money was spent?
Objection.
Some I do.
Go ahead.
Can you tell me what they are?
He personally used a lot of our money on himself. Buying stuff in the office without approval. There was no board to okay anything. You want me to name items he bought?
Please.
He bought cameras and put all 3 cameras in his office at that time, where we needed them in the parks and the parking lots. But he had them in his office, so I don't understand that. And one in a closet. And he bought tablets, and he went and drew money out with, so $2,000 here, $2,000 there, $5,000 here for petty cash. And you don't run a business on petty cash. I do know that.
Do you know whether the tablets were used in the office?
I do not.
And the withdrawals of cash, are you referring to withdrawals of cash from Sterling Green's Wells Fargo checking account?
Yes, sir.
Do you know what that money was spent on?
No, I don't. We didn't have any receipts when we asked for them.
The defendant, Thomas Olson, retained an expert by the name of Helga Zahner, an economic damages expert, who reviewed the expenditures that Sterling Green is trying to recover in this case, the purchases, the cash withdrawals, and her report contains explanations provided by Mr. Olson for those various withdrawals and purchases. My question is, have you reviewed Ms. Zahner's report?
Objection form. Go ahead.
No, I have not, but I heard it was on social media.
And when you use the term misappropriation, what do you mean by the term misappropriation?
Using without any authority.
Without the authority of a majority of a quorum of the board of directors?
Yes. And he was president. He shouldn't have been spending any money. That's for the office manager to do.
Sterling Green claims that each board member has knowledge of ongoing Sterling Green expenses caused in 2019 by Olson's misconduct in 2018. Do you know what those expenses are?
Can you repeat that?
Sure. Sterling Green has also claimed that each board member has knowledge of ongoing Sterling Green expenses caused in 2019 by Olson's misconduct in 2018. Do you know what those expenses are?
Not all. No, I don't. I do know he used our money.
Do you know who Joshua Williams is?
I do.
Is Joshua Williams a certified public accountant?
I don't know what his credentials are. When I met him, he just told me his name. I do know that he's an accountant.
Ms. Zahner, the economic damages expert retained by Mr. Olson, reviewed Sterling Green's Wells Fargo bank records and determined that its expenditures, the amount of its expenditures from April through July 2018 were consistent with its expenditures during the April to July 18 period in previous years. My question is, do you dispute that assertion of Ms. Zahner?
Objection form. I'm instructing you not to answer such a question. A, assumes facts not in evidence. B, no report has been submitted or entered. And I'm not asking, anyway, I'm instructing you not to answer a speculative question.
Are you aware, Ms. Lawrence, of a Department of Labor complaint that was filed against Sterling Green?
I do.
Have you ever reviewed that complaint?
No, I have not.
And that complaint was, let me rephrase that. Would I be correct in asserting that the Department of Labor complaint was settled by Sterling Green while Mr. Olson was on the board of directors?
No, Mr. Olson settled that himself without anybody else's knowledge that was on the board at the time. And he needed to have more than just himself. That was not his job to do so.
Other than your claim that Olson settled it without the approval of other board members, is there anything about the settlement that you view as objectionable?
Do what?
Is there anything about this settlement Mr. Olson entered into with the Department of Labor that you object to?
Yes.
What?
I don't think he should have done it without the okay of other people and let them figure out what was actually going on with these two people.
Okay, what I'm trying to find out is, other than Mr. Olson doing it without authority, is there anything about the settlement that you object to?
No.
Sterling Green claims it suffered damages when Mr. Olson switched security contractors when he terminated Unique Security and hired Seal Security. Do you have any knowledge as to the amounts paid for each company's services by Sterling Green?
How much we paid per month?
Yeah.
No, I don't. But I do know that he put us into a lawsuit against Unique because we didn't carry out their whole contract. He just went ahead and fired them and got Seal.
And you're claiming that Unique sued Sterling Green?
They did.
And did they recover any money from Sterling Green?
Not yet. We're waiting on the conclusion of this mess.
And is that lawsuit in progress now?
No, we haven't done anything on that one.
Where is that lawsuit pending?
I don't know.
Is there actually a lawsuit pending in a court in the state of Texas?
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't work in the office. I just know of them filing charges that we did not complete their contract.
Where did they file the charges?
I don't know. I have no idea. Wherever they live, in Dallas or Arlington or wherever their business office is.
Did you personally have any experience with Unique Security before it was terminated by Olson in May of 18?
I did.
And what was that experience?
I knew them because they drove around the neighborhood all the time.
Did you ever ask Mr. Olson why he terminated the contract with Unique?
Nope.
Have you ever had any experience with Seal Security?
I absolutely have.
And what has been your experience with Seal Security?
I used to catch them sitting at the end of my street in the church by my house, and they're in the parking lot all the time. And around the neighborhood, they would be parked over in the cul-de-sacs trying to hide from people. They were out of the neighborhood also.
Sterling Green alleges that it was forced to pay the fees of several attorneys and other persons as a result of Olson's misconduct. So I'm just going to go through the names of those persons and then ask you what the misconduct of Olson was that caused Sterling Green to be required to pay fees to that person. The first person is an attorney named Zach Huang. What is the misconduct of Olson that caused Sterling Green to be required to pay attorney's fees to Mr. Huang?
Objection. Go ahead, Ms. Lawrence.
I don't know.
What is the misconduct of Mr. Olson that caused Sterling Green to be required to pay attorney's fees to Susan Rice?
Objection form.
Susan Rice was his own personal attorney. No one else. I've seen a bill that she sent him or sent our office, and there's nobody else that used it except Tom Olson. So I would assume that's his personal lawyer, and he's paying it out of our money.
Do you know if Susan Olson was the attorney for Sterling Green before Mr. Olson began serving on the board of directors?
I don't know a Susan Olson.
I'm sorry, I'll rephrase. You know if Susan Rice was the attorney for Sterling Green, a attorney for Sterling Green before Mr. Olson's service on the board of directors began?
I don't know.
Would I be correct in saying at some point she was the attorney for Sterling Green?
I assume. I don't know for sure. You're meaning when he was here? Or before he
At any time.
Before he came here?
At any time, was Rice the attorney for?
I don't know. Yeah, after he came here, I finally met her. I didn't know she even existed.
How did Olson's misconduct cause Sterling Green to require the services of Miss Rice?
Objection form. Go ahead if you can.
I don't know.
What is the misconduct of Olson that caused Sterling Green to be required to pay attorney's fees to Chris Connery?
Objection form.
What is this, misconducts? All the
Yeah.
ones that we said. Misappropriation of funds.
And what work did Mr. Connery do in connection with the misappropriation of funds by Mr. Olson?
He went to court with us.
And that's the misappropriation of funds you were speaking about before, the reduction in the balance of the Sterling Green bank account.
Correct.
What is the misconduct of Mr. Olson that caused Sterling Green to be required to pay attorney's fees to Tom Nixon?
Objection form.
I don't know Tom Nixon. I know he's Tom's attorney, but that's about it.
Now I'm going to ask you a question about the receiver, one of the receivers. The plaintiff alleges, Sterling Green alleges it was forced to pay funds to receiver Eva Engelhardt due to the misconduct of Olson. What misconduct of Olson required Sterling Green to pay money to receiver Eva Engelhardt?
The judge ordered it,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
and it was the misappropriation of funds. And he wasn't running the office the way he should be. He wasn't supposed to be running the office.
And so if I understand correctly, you're claiming the receivership of Eva Engelhardt arose out of Mr. Olson's misappropriation of money.
Yes.
And were you aware that prior to Ms. Engelhardt being appointed receiver, a motion to appoint a receiver was filed?
Yes, I knew it was filed.
Have you ever reviewed that motion?
No.
Sterling Green claims that it was forced to pay funds to receiver Seth Kretzer due to the misconduct of Olson. What misconduct of Olson resulted in Sterling Green being forced to pay money to Seth Kretzer?
Objection form.
Seth was, Miss Engelhardt had an overload because she was an attorney and she couldn't handle it. So they turned it over to Seth Kretzer and he took her place for the same reason.
What misconduct of Olson caused Sterling Green to be required to pay money to attorney Mitch Katine?
Mitch Katine held our election.
And what misconduct of Olson resulted in Mr. Katine having to, have to object as non-responsive, but what misconduct of Olson resulted in Katine having to hold an election?
It was time for our election.
I'm sorry?
It was time for our next election.
What misconduct of Olson caused Sterling Green to be required to pay money to Katine?
Objection form.
What was, can you repeat that?
Sterling Green is claiming that it was forced to pay money to Mitch Katine because of Olson's misconduct. And I'm wondering, what was the misconduct of Olson that caused Sterling Green to have to pay money to attorney Mitch Katine?
The money, his bogus bunch of lawsuits.
Are you referring to the misappropriation of funds?
Yes.
When you say bogus bunch of lawsuits, are you talking about the lawsuit Mr. Olson filed against Dorothy MALVEAUX?
Yes, and any of the lawsuits he's filed.
What are the other lawsuits he's filed?
The one you're handling.
Sterling Green seeks to recover damages for employment decisions made by Olson that it claims were not authorized by the board of directors. My question is, what are the employment decisions for which Sterling Green seeks to recover from Mr. Olson?
Objection form. Go ahead.
He fired a couple of people that worked in the office. He upgraded their two other people's positions to managers and doubled the salaries without authority.
Who are the people he fired?
Miss MALVEAUX,
Anyone else?
they let Allison, I don't know her last name, they let her go.
Anyone else?
No.
And who are the people who were promoted?
Kathy Hairbottle and Saif Abachchabi.
And did the termination of Miss MALVEAUX cause Sterling Green to incur expenses?
No. Except to have to fix all the locks on the doors that he kicked in.
Did you witness him kick in doors and break locks?
No, but I saw it.
You saw the doors and the
I have
broken
pictures.
locks
Yes, I have pictures of it that he
of
did.
it? Okay. If I asked you to give those photos to Mr. Olson, I'm sorry, Mr. Chesney, so that they could be produced in this lawsuit, could you do that?
I can.
Well, then please produce them. Thank you.
I will.
Sterling Green seeks to recover $4,486.40 in connection with a loan obtained by Tom Olson from Andy Garza. Do you have any knowledge as to the circumstances or the reason for that loan?
Oh, they said it was to make some payroll for a couple of employees, but we had already come to the office in an order from Judge Jeffrey Chaswick. He gave us authority, Ellen Pollock and I, to come to the office, pay the bills, and do the payroll. But we came to the office. He wouldn't give us any information until we signed the resolution, and I wasn't signing anything that that man made up. So we left.
Do you know if the loan, and on what day did that occur?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Do you know if the loan occurred before or after that date?
I don't know. I would imagine after that day.
Sterling Green seeks to recover $2,000 for payments made to Patrick Keys in the second quarter of 2018. It claims these fees would not have been incurred but for Olson's misconduct. My question is, what is the misconduct of Olson that caused Sterling Green to to pay $2,000 to Patrick Keys.
I don't even know who Patrick Keys is. I do remember that he said something about he was writing a program, but okay, where's the receipt for the programs? There's nothing around that says that Patrick Keys, other than Patrick Keys, could be the brother of Miss Kathy Keys' hair bottle.
And have you made any independent investigation of your own in an attempt to find out what Mr. Keys did, if anything, for Sterling Green in exchange for the $2,000?
We tried to find Patrick Keys, and the only one we could find, he was related to Kathy Hairbottle.
I have to object as non-responsive. Do you know whether he did in fact write a program for Sterling Green?
I didn't see any programs he wrote.
And what attempts did you make to locate said programs?
I never saw any program.
I have to object as non-responsive. I'm asking you a slightly different question, and then hopefully we can move on. I'm just trying to find out, you yourself, did you make any independent effort, any independent investigation to find out on, or to locate on the Sterling Green computer system any programs that were written by Patrick Keys?
No, I did not. And I'm not a T person.
Sterling Green seeks to recover $960 for payments made to Sarah Bass in the second quarter of 2018. It claims these fees would not have been incurred but for Olson's misconduct. My question is, what misconduct on the part of Mr. Olson led to these payments to Sarah Bass?
What did he buy?
I have to object as non-responsive. When the deposition is over, you can ask me all the questions you want, but
I don't know what he bought with $960.
Okay.
There's no receipts for anything. And
would you agree with me that Joshua Williams completed an audit report for Sterling Green?
I'm sorry.
Would you agree with me that Joshua Williams completed an audit report for Sterling Green?
I guess he did.
Were you ever furnished with a copy of that report?
It wasn't a full report. It was like an internal, I don't remember what it's called.
And when were you furnished with this less than full report?
He brought it to one of our meetings and gave a report to the homeowners.
And were copies of the less than full report distributed?
No,
Objection one.
it was a briefing, but no, after that, no one asked for one, so no one got one.
So you yourself have never received a document containing either a abbreviated version or a complete version of Mr. Williams' report?
No, I did not.
Did anyone ever tell you Mr. Williams was a certified public accountant?
Not that I recall.
You recall Tom Olson ever objecting to the hiring of Mr. Williams to perform an audit?
He wasn't, no.
Were you aware that Mr. Olson provided a link to Anthony Taft containing financial records and receipts for the time that he was on the board of directors?
Repeat that, you're breaking up.
Did you know that Mr. Olson
You're still breaking up.
Yeah, you are, Peter. You are.
should I call in with that?
No, I think it was just temporary. That was fine. I just think it was a temporary thing.
Okay. Ms. Lawrence, were you aware that Mr. Olson provided a link to Anthony Taft and that the link contained, it was a link to a cloud storage system that contained receipts and records for the time that he was on the board of directors?
No, I do not.
Is Mr. Taft a member of the board of directors?
He is.
Is it your contention that Mr. Olson's time on the board, his stint on the board ended in August of 18 or August of 19?
I believe August 18.
So would I be correct that,
Oh, no, I take that back. I think he was on it for a little while in 19. I'm not real sure.
so there's a meeting in August at which the board of directors removed him from the board. Is it possible that meeting actually occurred in August of 19?
Well, there was a meeting in August of 18 and August of 19. And I do remember when he was moved from the board, he wouldn't leave. He thought because he was president, he stopped the meeting, but the vice president at the time took the meeting up and we did not, she still held business and he walked out. And I was in the audience. I don't know what date that was. It had to be on a Monday though.
Are you aware that the owner of property in a homeowners association community can appoint a personal representative who can attend meetings on their behalf?
Yes, I did.
Were you aware that Mr. Olson was the representative of Christina Garza at Sterling Green?
Well, he said that was his wife. So I'm assuming that was his wife. He can do whatever he wants with his wife.
Would you agree with me that board meetings must be open to owners?
The board,
Except for executive meetings?
I've never had an executive meeting since I've been on board.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to object as non-responsive. My question is, are you aware that HOA board meetings in Texas must be open to owners, to members of the HOA?
I think I read that somewhere. Yes.
With regard to this meeting of the board that Tom Olson was ejected from, we might as well see if we can get this straight. Was Olson ejected from board meetings in both August of 18 and August of 19?
I don't remember.
How many board meetings has he been ejected from?
Well, he wasn't ejected. He was voted down from president to member at large. And then at another meeting, they made a motion to remove him from the board altogether. And I don't remember that date, but I was at that meeting.
With regard to the meeting at which he was removed from the board of directors altogether, Article 4, Section 5 of the Sterling, strike that, let me back up for a second. Have you ever read the Sterling Green bylaws, the Sterling Green Community Improvement Association?
I have, and I have.
Okay. Article 4, Section 5 of the bylaws authorizes the members of Sterling Green to remove a member of the board of directors from the board. My question is there another provision of the bylaws that authorizes the board of directors to remove a
There
member?
is, I believe there's a section that says you can be removed by the board members without cause. I don't know what section that is, number or whatever, but I do remember reading that. You don't have to have a cause.
And in that case, does it permit the members of the community or the board to remove a board member without cause?
The board.
When was the last time you read the bylaws?
I don't know.
Has it been within the last 10 years?
Absolutely. I think I still have a copy when I got my house.
Did the board of directors ever authorize the performance of an audit by Joshua Williams?
Did the board what?
Ever authorize
They
the
did.
performance of an audit by Joshua Williams?
They did.
And when did they do that?
I don't remember the date.
Do you know who, if anyone, recommended Mr. Williams to the board as a person who could perform the audit?
I do not.
What was the purpose of the audit?
I don't know. I guess to audit the books.
Who provided Mr. Williams with Sterling Green records to review?
I would imagine the auditor, she's the one that has them.
Ms. Provost?
Yes.
Did Mr. Williams ever interview you or ask you questions in the course of performing this audit?
He did not.
Do you know of any Sterling Green personnel that Mr. Williams worked with in performing the audit?
I would imagine the people that work in the office.
Do you know what records were provided to Mr. Williams?
I do not.
And just to be clear about something, as you sit here today, you've never read Mr. Williams' audit report. Is that correct?
That's correct. I heard it.
In what month? You heard it at a board meeting?
Yes, no, I heard it at the HOA meeting of the homeowners.
And you don't know the month in which that occurred?
No, I do not.
Has Mr. Williams performed non-audit work for Sterling Green?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Has Mr. Williams performed work other than the audit for Sterling Green?
I don't know that.
Are you aware of audits of Sterling Green ever being performed on any other occasion other than this audit that Mr. Williams performed?
No, I do not.
Have you ever asserted that Tom Olson took Sterling Green pool income money and deposited those funds into a separate account?
I don't recall. No, I did not.
Are you aware of any threatening behavior ever engaged in by Mr. Olson at Sterling Green? Did you ever witness any such behavior?
Only, no, I haven't.
I think I know where this is going, Bill, but maybe to shorten this, I will make an introductory statement and say, I'm going to ask you some questions now about the March 2020 election, and then you can do what you do and we'll get through it and wrap this up. Ms. Lawrence, I'm not going to ask you a series of questions regarding the March 2020 election.
And
Did you attend the 2020 election?
I did.
Okay. I'm going to object and instruct her not to answer any questions regarding anything 2 years post this lawsuit. And clearly, March 2020 has no relevance to this case. So I'm going to instruct her to not ask any questions, answer any questions regarding that.
And for the record, we think that the calendar doesn't determine relevance, but we'll move forward.
Yes, sir.
Are people allowed to submit proxy ballots in Sterling Green elections?
I'll object to the form, Peter, only because I don't think those two terms go together.
Are people allowed to submit proxies in Sterling Green Board of Director elections?
Yes.
Does the Sterling Green Board of Directors have the right to prevent owners' representatives from attending Sterling Green election meetings?
If they, not homeowners. We welcome the homeowners. People that don't own homes here don't have any reason to be here.
I have to object is non-responsive. My question is, does Sterling Green have the right to prevent, let me rephrase it. Does the Sterling Green Board of Directors have the right to prevent an owner's representative from attending Sterling Green Board of Director meetings?
No.
Can you identify any conduct on the part of Mr. Olson while he was on the Board of Directors of Sterling Green that you believe was undertaken by him in bad faith?
Objection. And I'll object to form instructor not to answer the questions. Way too global.
By global, you mean overbroad.
Yes.
Okay, I'll see if I can narrow it. Can you identify any conduct on the part of Olson while he was on the Sterling Green Board of Directors that was undertaken by him in bad faith and which caused Sterling Green to sustain losses?
Objection form. Same objection. You're asking for a narrative and it's not tailored to anything.
I may have missed something, Bill, but I did not hear you instruct her not to answer.
I didn't. But I'm objecting to the form of the question.
Okay, so as I understand it then, Ms. Lawrence may answer the question.
To the extent she can, yes.
I've seen him do stuff at the park, in our office that was destructive to us.
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah.
Objection form, go ahead.
He brought a gun to the park, which is against the law because we have signs everywhere that says no firearms. He shot the gun in the pool when people were at the pool. He brought his dog up here, let the dog swim in our pool. Then someone called the health department on us, and we had to close the pool for 3 days. He let his dog crap all over our pool area, and he had to get the maintenance people to clean it up. He wouldn't clean it up. He brought his dog into our office. He's torn up stuff out here. He's bought rickety furniture to the pool area. That man has no couth. Hello.
I was just writing down your answer. I'm sorry for the long pause.
Can we take a break? I need some water. All I want is coffee. Thank
Sure.
you.
Why don't we come back? She didn't hear this, but why don't we come back at 11:25? At 11:20.
Okay,
fine.
thank you. Thank you, Bill.
The time is 11:13 a.m. We're now off the record.